Hello and welcome everyone. I am Adeshawa Josh and this is Africa Matters. We begin in Nigeria. A series of incidents involving criminal gangs in recent weeks has left hundreds of people dead. We'll hear from some of the victims of the passenger train attack in Kaduna. And in South Africa, more than 300 people have died following a heavy rainfall that triggered mudslides and flooding in Durban. In Kenya, we follow an urban planner who is on a mission to design spaces that cater to infants and their caretakers. Nigeria's northern region is experiencing a resurgence of bloody killings and abductions that has left nearly 200 people dead and hundreds missing in the past 2 weeks. On Monday, local media reports say gunmen suspected to be cattle herders killed at least 25 people in Benue State. Barely 48 hours later, armed gangs known locally as bandits abducted at least 5 female students from the College of Health and Technology Zamfara from their hostel. This latest wave of attacks began in Plateau State on Sunday, where more than 150 people were killed by bandits during a brutal raid on 4 villages. Residents held a mass burial for the victims on Monday. Still, many are believed to be missing, as others continue to search for the bodies of their loved ones. Local officials say nearly 5,000 people have fled their homes. President Buhari has condemned the attacks and called on residents to help expose the perpetrators. These criminal gangs have also claimed responsibility for the attack on a Kaduna-bound passenger train that killed at least 8 people last month. We visited some of the families affected by the violence as they tell us their stories. Adesua Egbon reports from the northern city of Kaduna.
Mohammed Amin Mahmoud travels to Abuja several times a week for business. The express train seemed like the safest and easiest way to go. Unfortunately, as he learned, traveling across northern Nigeria these days makes you a target.
Some few minutes after the gunshots, I just touched my thigh. And I noticed that my trouser was all wet. After using my phone to see, I saw that I had blood on me, all over me, and I started shouting, I was shot, I was shot, I was shot.
Violence in the region began in 2011 as communal clashes between herders and farmers. But it's escalated as economic desperation forces more people toward banditry. Since 2018, there has been more than 800 attacks, killing more than 5,000 people. In recent years, Kaduna has been plagued by attacks from bandits who strike at will, with little to no consequences from security forces. These criminals are changing Kaduna from a lively, bustling city to a place where citizens live in fear and uncertainty of when these bandits will strike. More activists are calling on the government to act and protect people's lives and properties in the region. Former State Senator Shehu Sani has been calling on the Nigerian government to tackle the security situation in the country's northwest for the past 4 years. But despite increased security spending, authorities have been unable to bring the problem under control.
It is a fact that the government has failed, the security agencies have failed. They have failed to execute and implement their duty as a government or as security agencies. Nigeria has spent in the last 6 years over 4.2 trillion naira for defense. What have you gotten? Nothing. People are being killed every day.
Nigeria borders some countries in the restive Sahel region, like Niger and Chad, which have been battling terrorists for years. Some victims say they believe the bandits have crossed over from these neighboring countries. Kaduna State Governor has linked attacks to the armed group Boko Haram.
They were all very, very little children. They were little kids. I think the average age should be more than 22 years old. That should be like the eldest I saw. And they had this chant. They were chanting when they were actually shot several times, they would chant Allah Akbar. And then the intonations they had, they didn't look at someone that they were good in Hausa.
As more attacks keep happening, citizens are left wondering if peace will ever be restored. Adesua Egbon, Africa Matters, Kaduna, Nigeria.
Let's hear more from Chijioke Nwalozie, a senior lecturer in criminology and criminal justice at De Montfort University. He joins me from Derby in the United Kingdom. Thank you so much for making our time to speak to us. Do we know what the motivation behind these renewed killings are? The armed gangs claim they're not after money.
Thank you for having me. Since they are not looking for money, they want to control the country. That is just the stark truth about it. If you can remember, if you know the history of Nigeria very well and the history of all these killings over time, Boko Haram, tried to establish themselves in the northern part of Nigeria and trying to take over many states in that part of the world. So they are doing that to establish their own caliphate. So they want to take over the country and they possibly Islamize it. Since they are not looking for money, that is their agenda. Because terrorist organizations who are fundamentalists, usually that is their agenda.
Well, clearly, that's not going to sit well with the Nigerian government. But Nigeria's security budget has steadily increased in the last 7 years from 969 billion naira in 2015 to 1.97 trillion naira in 2021, according to official figures. So would you say lack of funding is the problem? If not, what is the problem? Why is it so difficult for the Nigerian government to deal with this head on?
It is not, lack of funding is not the problem. I wouldn't say it is the problem, but they require funding. They need funding to ensure that they carry out their security work very well. But over and above that, there is need to really, who comes into the country, from where? Now, I'll give you an example. Our president, the sitting president, the incumbent president, Muhammadu Buhari, a few years ago, he allowed some Fulanis from neighboring West African countries to come into Nigeria. It was a mass exodus. We saw it. These people, were they documented? Where are they? They are now in the country. What are they doing? Are they not part of that group of people that are, inflicting mayhem within the country? So it is not only about funding, it's about knowing who is where. Where give account of where people are in the country. Where are their addresses? You want to arrest terrorists. Where are their addresses? Where do they stay? Of course, intelligence has shown that some of them, a majority of them, stay in the forests, and the security operatives know that they stay in the forest, but they can't even go after them. It's about having a coordinated approach, and that coordinated approach requires a kind of collective patriotism. And by collective patriotism, I mean everybody, especially those that are at the helm of affairs, they have to bear that the security of the country is uppermost. For anything to work out in the country, they have to be secure. Nigeria is no longer secure. It is imploding, and it's like a metastasized cancer.
Right.
It's dead.
So President Buhari has asked local residents to, quote, expose the perpetrators of these killings so that the law can take its course. Are residents in a position to help the government this way? If not, what options do the people have to protect themselves in these restive regions?
Of course, the residents have to do something. Of course, remember I said something like this collective patriotism. Everybody in the country has something to do. Now, if he says that residents should do that, they have to do that in collaboration with the security operatives. How that can come to happen very well is this way. In Nigeria, there are no addresses as you can find in civilized societies. So that if somebody is committing a crime, you can locate the criminal wherever he or she is. It's not the case in Nigeria. People live in local communities, villages, and you can't even get satellite information from those areas. So what they can do now is to work with the local chiefs of the areas, the elders in the areas, have a kind of meeting with them because they know who comes into their community. That is the first step.
Right.
And in doing that, then they can be reporting. They should not hide anybody that they do not know, who he or she is. Everybody should be accounted for. So, but then with that happening, operatives will be in those areas, working with them hand in hand. But still, I say again, the president should be accountable for the migration issues. What has he done? He allowed people to come into the country and undocumented. Where are they now? That's again part of that problem.
Right, undocumented people, unmanned spaces, the problems that you've pointed out. Thank you so much, Mr. Chijioke Nwalozie, a senior lecturer in criminology and criminal justice at the Montfort University. Thank you for joining us. We have more stories coming up for you here on Africa Matters, including
I am Man Masharia in Gekomba, one of Kenya's open-air markets where women traders can better balance working and caring for their babies thanks to the safe baby care stations for them.
More than 300 people are confirmed dead after unusually heavy rains in South Africa's province of KwaZulu-Natal. More than 140 schools have been affected by flooding, as has the port of Durban. Mudslides have destroyed bridges and kept key roads closed, and repairs to the region's infrastructure are expected to take months. Claire Harriott reports.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa visited Durban to meet people affected by the floods and landslides that have devastated the city.
We're thankful you've given us this opportunity to see for ourselves and also to meet with you.
Days of driving rain flooded several areas across the province of KwaZulu-Natal, and mudslides tore houses apart. This is all that's left of Jumba Pedi's home. It's completely gone, but he and his family managed to escape with their lives.
We tried to run away, my young children, my young boy. There's cabbage, the soil, gone over on top. Now we try to take the children down on the soil. Lucky we found it.
Others weren't so fortunate.
My neighbors, they tried to assist me. It took 2 hours. After 2 hours, I will survive. But unfortunately, my child. Not survive.
The storm was powerful enough to pick up and toss aside freight containers at Durban Port, the largest and busiest shipping terminal in sub-Saharan Africa. Now it's a wasteland. Roads have also caved in, making it dangerous for people to pass and slowing down emergency crews trying to reach the area by road. A lull in the bad weather has allowed rescue helicopters to operate, but the weather department says rains will return over the Easter weekend. Claire Harriott, Africa Matters.
Senegal is one of the countries in Africa worst hit by climate crisis. A growing population and scarce rainfall has triggered a water shortage across the country. And now the residents of Tata Batli village in the country's north are barely able to satisfy their thirst. Ramesa Choda has more.
Every day, Umi Drami wakes up before dawn to drain what is left from the village well before it runs dry in a few hours. The 40-year-old is one of many residents of Tata Batli, a remote village in northern Senegal, all trying to source enough water to survive.
You don't eat enough, you don't drink enough, you don't sleep, neither day or night. You become tired.
But getting water is difficult and costly. When the water well began to run low in 2010, the government drilled another one. Today, it barely emits a trickle. So the community took matters into its own hands, raising $5,000 to drill a new well that won't fail to heat water.
What's difficult is the scarcity of the water. We don't drink when we are thirsty. We don't wash our clothes. We are herders. If you don't give animals enough to drink, they will die. Same with children. They will die if you don't give them enough to drink. We want help to get water.
But experts say scientists who are trained in tapping into the underwater aquifer are hard to find. And the water can be 400 meters below ground, 10 times the depth of the Tatabatila wells.
It requires a lot of resources to reach that groundwater, even if they say it exists. A geophysical study needs to be done to clarify more or less the existence of the groundwater and determine where it is, instead of coming here with large investments and finding nothing. That's what happened to the village we visited earlier. They didn't do the study, they dug somewhere, they spent a lot of money and they got nothing. They lost all their money.
Water locked in subterranean stores could help African countries survive years of drought. But tapping into those reserves is costly, and the future of Senegal could dry up before that happens. Rumeisa Chodar, Africa Matters.
For many women, finding an accommodating place to change their baby's diaper is as challenging as finding a vegan option in a steakhouse. But in Kenya, one urban planner is making it her mission to design spaces that cater to babies and the people looking after them. Anne Masharia reports.
It's busy and crowded in Kenya's Gikomba market, and about 65,000 people work here. Market life begins early in the morning, and for mothers with little ones, daybreak can bring it with a lot of hassles. Something very familiar to Felice Tandua, a tailor at the market who struggles to strike a balance between working and caring for her 2-year-old son.
I used to take my son to daycare, but the challenges there were too much to a point I resorted to stay home. But that's when I heard there was a baby care station in the market.
For many women traders like her, changing their diapers in public spaces comes with a lot of strain, shame, and judgment. But for Penina Ndegwa, the founder of Wow Moms, that problem itself created an opportunity. Wow Moms started as a blog where women, especially working mothers, shared the challenges they faced. That inspired Penina to create safe places for children. What started as a blog to help make motherhood easier soon turned out something much larger.
When we came to install the station, we interviewed the mothers. We were asking them, why do you have to bring your babies to work every day? And they would tell us the challenges that they had experienced. First of all, in Kenya, the regulations are the minimum wage for a house help is 13,000.
In Kenya, basic baby changing facilities are not provided in public spaces, including government buildings and hospitals. That results in parents having to change dirty diapers in crowded and unsanitary conditions, or having to avoid certain venues and events altogether. When Penina secured a grant for her first baby care station project, she painted murals on the wall and equipped the station with a baby changing table, sink, chair, and a waste bin. Faith Nyambura is one of the many women who use the station.
It's luxurious to change baby diapers in here, not on cardboard boxes. Right now, there are many women coming here. They go on to tell other women about this baby station. They are babies I look after. Right now, we want more baby station added because the number of babies are increasing.
Penina, an urban planner by profession, she says her mission is to empower women to achieve their dreams while also raising healthy babies.
With very few quality, affordable healthcare services in Nairobi, more initiatives such as Wow Mom is vital for women so that they can work while bonding with their babies, but also know that their loved one is in a safe place while sleeping and playing. Anne Masharia, Africa Matters, Nairobi.
You're watching Africa Matters. Here's a roundup of other stories making news across the continent. Some asylum seekers who arrive in the UK on small boats across the English Channel will be given a one-way ticket to Rwanda. The two countries signed a deal for nearly $160 million involving mostly single men arriving in Britain via boat crossings. Under the proposal, Rwanda would take responsibility for them, put them through an asylum process, and at the end of that process, if they're successful, they will have long-term accommodation in Rwanda. President Salva Kiir and his rival Vice President Riek Machar have signed an agreement on the creation of a unified armed forces command in the hopes of expediting the implementation of the 2018 peace agreement. President Kiir has also ordered the official integration of military commanders loyal to Machar into the army's leadership. According to Machar's military spokesman, this will help put an end to the ongoing ceasefire violations in various parts of the country. Vitiligo is a disease that causes the skin to lose color in patches. Those who are affected by the condition often face discrimination and stigma. But one Ugandan artist is using it as an inspiration and showing people that beauty can be skin deep. Laurie Timmers has more.
Martin Senkubuge has turned this small room in Kampala into his personal studio. The 25-year-old artist specializes in photorealistic paintings using charcoal-based paint. He began drawing portraits of people with vitiligo after learning about the disease in art school.
The main focus wasn't the public at the start. The main focus was the people themselves, because I wanted them to understand that we can make a change. They are sorrowful inside. Most of them, some of them have not moved out of their rooms. Some of them had never looked at themselves in the mirror. You know, there's one guy who had never looked at himself in the mirror for 23 years. He's a father. He has a very beautiful young daughter, but not looking at himself. Why? Because of what he has been told.
Senkubuge says he wants his pieces to spread awareness. By highlighting the overlooked beauty in his subjects, he aims to battle the stigmas associated with the skin condition. Superstition in Uganda makes some people believe it's a bad omen. Eva Takunda was one of Senkubuge's first models. She's had to face rumors and gossip about her appearance her entire life.
So this lady comes with a friend and they start talking about my condition, because that time I had a lot of vitiligo around my eyes. As you can see, it goes and comes, so now you can see the dark patches around here. It means it's going away. So at that time it was like so evident around my eyes. I had like big white circles around my eyes. And then they start talking about like what causes vitiligo. So they believe that vitiligo is, they believed then that my parents had sacrificed twins. Or if they had not sacrificed twins, it means they ate some body parts of twins.
Vitiligo is considered an autoimmune disorder, but the only thing affected is the melanin in a patient's skin.
This problem is initiated by the immune system in an individual, where you find that there are some antigens that are produced by the melanocytes. These are pigment-producing cells which are found under the skin. These antigens which are produced under the skin within the melanocytes tend to sometimes go in reaction with antibodies that are formed against the melanocyte antigens.
Slowly, Eva has begun to feel more comfortable and confident in her skin.
When I met people that were like me, I felt better about myself. So every time you meet people that are like you feel better. So currently we are trying to establish support groups of people that are living with vitiligo in all the 4 regions of the country.
Seeing herself and her vitiligo as a work of art has helped Eva and others take a new perspective. Laurie Timmers, Africa Matters.
This week on Africa Matters, we explore Kariba, a resort town in northern Zimbabwe. It is located near the Zambian border in the Zambezi Valley, which is home to the continent's 4th longest river. Let's take a look. That's our show this week. Please share your thoughts and suggestions about the stories you've seen on this episode or ideas you would like us to cover on Twitter using the hashtag #AfricaMatters. Feel free to reach out to me on my personal handle at @AdeshawaJosh. You can watch this episode and more on YouTube. Just search Africa Matters TRT World. Like, comment, and share. I'll see you next week.